Hey, what's good? AI is getting crazier by the day, bro. Have y'all seen that fake streamer bowl ad that someone made? Literally, if it wasn't for the voices and the fictional characters, I would have thought it was real. No wonder why we're entering the RAM shortage of doom right now. But for real, artificial intelligence seems to be the wave nowadays, as you just can't escape it. Whether it's for memes, fake trailers, or commercials, generative AI seems to be everywhere. It feels like we're slowly entering an unnatural and dystopian future where human creativity is nowhere to be found. It's low-key terrifying. At the core of all of our fears are companies that believe that it's okay to put out products that contain or are fully made with AI. Just in the past few weeks alone, I've seen 12 Kalshi AI commercials, some AI packaging art, AI TV shows, and this AI companion that Razer made.
Wakey, wakey, rise and shine. Morning, Joey. You were snoring again. Definitely wear your favorite green jacket. Look, now we're really vibing.
Okay, that last one isn't as bad. It's just insane how technologically advanced we're getting. This dead looks like something straight out of Cyberpunk. Speaking of Cyberpunk, this brings me to the main topic of this video: video games. In recent times, video games has become one of the biggest entertainment mediums globally. According to Omdia, in 2024 alone, video games generated an estimated $220 billion in revenue, making it the third highest grossing entertainment medium of that year. However, while everyone was in their rooms not showering. However, while everyone was in their rooms not showering and grinding Black Myth Wukong, some game publishers saw the potential to grow out their pockets. Before I start yapping though, I want to inform you guys that this portion of the video is heavily targeted towards Activision and their materialistic ideals, rather than the companies like Infinity Ward or Treyarch who actually create the game that I'm about to talk about. You see, Activision is the publishing company of Call of Duty, which means that whatever they say, these developer studios have to comply to. Now, Activision has been recently acquired by Microsoft, and there's reasons for me to believe that Microsoft has a say with this AI business that I'm about to talk about, but I can't fully confirm or deny that. Just know that it's coming from one of these two companies. But with that out of the way, let's move on. On October 25th, 2024, Activision released Call of Duty Black Ops 6. The release of Black Ops 6 was a tremendous success for the franchise. According to Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, my bad if I butchered that, Black Ops 6 was the biggest Call of Duty release ever, as it set new day one and opening weekend records. Activision would also put out a small graphic showcasing that it was the #1 most played Call of Duty out of any 3-day opening weekend ever. Of course, they don't provide any statistics for that statement whatsoever, and instead leave it as ear candy so the casuals could just buy that game off hearing that. After all, we're humans. We all want to feel like we're a part of something, and hearing that statement can kind of give you FOMO. Wait, so you're telling me that those numbers aren't true? I don't know, Timmy. Probably. But that's besides the point. Listen to what happens to the game after its release. In the beginning of 2025, the average number of players playing Black Ops 6 on Steam dropped down from 166,000 to 61,000, with its peak number of players dropping 200,000 from its peak player count. Now, this could be due to a variety of reasons. For starters, the game was getting stale as it didn't have enough post-launch content, it being turned into a camo grinder rather than it being fun for some people, the overly excessive skill-based matchmaking putting you against the level 1000 named Get Good at the Game Kid LOL 6769, and Activision repeatedly pouring microtransactions down our throats. Literally, the first thing you see when you open the game is a battle pass that costs like 40 bucks.
Hey, you better pay for that.
Gang, I already paid like 70 bucks for this game.
I don't care. I gotta feed little Tim downstairs.
Wait, that was your kid earlier? Get the hell out my house! Even though Black Ops 6 couldn't escape the inevitable cost cycle, what if I told you that the downward spiral initially began from those said microtransactions? Everybody knows that around the holidays is where big businesses give it their all. Whether it's through promotions, advertisements, or generally selling a new product, these companies are gonna try to make a quick buck off of you. Now, there's nothing wrong with this, but what is wrong is when a customer notices that the company itself didn't even make the product. As many noticed a loading screen of a Santa zombie having 6 fingers instead of 5. Now, last time I checked, I count 5 fingies on each hand. The zombie having 6 fingers was a clear indicator of it being AI. As Geni, what is Geni? What? As Gen AI struggles with hands sometimes because they just would add an extra finger or two for some reason. Hey, I guess the AI just wants everyone to look like Stanford Pines from Gravity Falls. Anyways, with this being exposed, it caused everyone to start questioning or noticing that a lot of the other artwork within the game is AI. Yeah, imagine being sold something that you could probably make yourself through a couple of words. Activision would be forced to double down on this accusation through a statement, as Steam would begin to have an AI disclosure statement within a game's page. Our team uses generative AI tools to help some in-game assets. Yeah, assets that they bluntly try to market to you and get you to buy as soon as you open the game. As to them, they don't see you as a consumer or player. Rather, you're a money-making machine that puts food on their table at night. How about instead of trying to create the next Labubu zombie loading screen, you reinvest that money in hiring new artists or even give some of them raises? The economy isn't getting better anytime soon. Try to help them out. But nah, that's silly. Why on earth would you want to reinvest into your own product and make it more consumer friendly? That's not gonna let me purchase my 4th Lamborghini. Activision admitting their use of Gen AI invoked fear amongst many of their workers, as within the lifecycle of BO6, some of the voice actors of the Zombies crew allegedly departed from the franchise due to their fear of being replaced by an AI. Zeke Alton, who's been playing William Peck since 2020, and Julia Nathanson, who has been playing Samantha Maxis since 2009, both seem to be recasted out of nowhere just months after the game's release. This is mainly because of the middle of 2024, the union they were a part of, SAG-AFTRA, who do protect the rights of video game voice actors, went on strike as they could not get an agreement on AI protection for voice actors with multiple video game companies. Activision would actually respond to this by stating, "We respect the personal choice of these performers. Out of respect for all parties, we won't add new commentary about the ongoing negotiations with SAG-AFTRA. We look forward to a mutually beneficial outcome as soon as possible." Which basically tells me that they allegedly developed new contracts for these voice actors with loose AI protections, practically forcing them to leave. If you're asking, how do I know this? It's because some SAG-AFTRA members are under daily contracts. To my understanding, if one chooses to not sign said contract in order to stand with striking union members, it would be fairly easy to recast said person. Basically, there would be no legal mumbo jumbo for replacing that person's job. Ultimately, this is sad, especially for someone like Julia Nathanson, who's been working with the company for about 20 years. Just for her to be thrown to the curb like she's a piece of garbage. Personally, I've been playing Call of Duty Zombies since I was 3 years old, so seeing her depart from the company out of nowhere was kind of painful. It made me realize how insane it is that a company wouldn't be quick to protect the rights of their most prominent voice actress. Zeke would actually decide to speak out and state that he sincerely hopes to collaborate in the future once all performers are protected against generative AI abuse. To this day, Julia nor Zeke are said to return to their roles, with their characters not even being a part of the current Call of Duty game. What makes this even more fucked is that they could have done this because they allegedly knew that they weren't gonna return. Funnily enough, they even had a chance to fix all the AI slop within their game, but decided to stay persistent with their ideology.
Behold! Thor! Odin's son!
You had one job.
However, that mindset forever tarnished the relationship that Call of Duty had with their fans. You see, as soon as Black Ops 7 dropped in November 2025, fans immediately noticed the AI artwork within a numerous amount of calling cards. More specifically, they took note of the Studio Ghibli style of art that they had. You know, the same Studio Ghibli art that was a trend with the AI some time ago. That scandal's a whole other can of worms that I just don't have time for within this video. But I mean, I guess it fit within the time period of this game, which was 2035. But man, just hire talented artists. Especially when so many people are quick to point out that trend. This caused such a negative light to be shone upon of Black Ops 7 on day one. So not only did Activision have to worry about COD and Black Ops fatigue, selling microtransactions that will fit the game, and making sure that the skill-based matchmaking is less strict for the player base. They also had to worry about the AI backlash that they were receiving. Clearly, Black Ops 7 had a terrible start and received the lowest numbers ever within the franchise. Nonetheless, things only got worse, as the multiplayer campaign was so bad that it caused Black Ops 7 to be the laughingstock of the gaming industry. Don't worry though, it still gets worse, because with something so unbelievably bad and soulless, it only causes people to think that the entire game was made with AI.
My nigga, this shit look hella AI. What the fuck am I looking at right now, bro?
AI as PNG for real, yo, low key, dude. There's
100% AI written game. Video game needs a boss fight, so character turns into a giant boss.
Activision were practically forced into responding to this hate, but all they pretty much said was, less money on artists equals more money for themselves. So my question to you, Activision, what happened to basic workers' rights or even morals? Man, the general public doesn't even have faith in you in creating a decent product anymore, because from here on out, they're just gonna claim that it's AI. It's almost as if greed has infected you guys so much that us consumers or players are living through an apocalypse right now. Now, Drew Gooden would actually make a great video on this topic. I'm not gonna delve too much into it because he has a much better understanding than I do. Regardless, after you watch this video, please go make sure to watch his if you want a better understanding on how greed is affecting the world right now. I mainly wanted to point out his video because of what he said about the federal tax rate change that happened around the late 80s.
See, I would argue that part of the reason why companies in the 40s and 50s were so generous with their extra profits was because the tax rate was so high. I mean, think about it. If you're faced with the decision between giving a huge chunk of money to the government or redistributing it back to the employees who helped you earn it in the first place, you would be much more likely to do the latter because it's an investment in your own company. It's a mutually beneficial exchange.
This is fairly significant because it could directly affect how companies treat AI today. Aww, you think a big media conglomerate like Disney is going to care for your living expenses? Fuck no, the money they're paying you, they want for themselves. Everybody knows that these big businessmen only want to build out their bank accounts rather than sell a product that everybody's gonna like. And through the utilization of Gen AI and the fact that they have to pay less taxes, the enjoyment of that product only diminishes and their pockets only rises. Games nowadays are like $70. For Christ's sake, the new Mario Kart was $80, and die-hard fans of that game said it's boring. Rather than people using the brain power to figure out how to make the most money possible, they should instead use it to create a well-made product. This definitely applies to a market such as video games where the prices are only going to increase. No one wants to spend almost $100 on a AAA title that sucks. Look at Anthem! What I'm mainly trying to get at here is that if the federal taxes were higher, then companies would probably be less inclined to use Gen AI, and instead putting the revenue that they're receiving into the game itself. Now, earlier I mentioned that Microsoft might have something to do with the whole Gen AI being in Call of Duty, and that's because Microsoft themselves admitted to wanting to use AI in games. Towards the beginning of the past year, Microsoft announced a new AI model called Muse. This AI creates game visuals that appear as if a human is playing it. Yeah, it pretty much makes a whole game. Microsoft states that they utilize their game, Bleeding Edge, alongside real human controller input to train the AI. This literally takes away from any creativity from game design as a whole. Now, I want to clarify that you can't physically play any of the games that I was showing you, but what's stopping a company from taking the visuals from the AI, adding code to it, and selling it as their own? That's exactly what Microsoft plans on doing. Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella, once again, my bad if I said your name wrong, stated in an interview that they're going to have a catalog of games soon that we will start using these models. Or we're going to train these models to generate and then start playing them. Which means that the whole process of graphic designing characters, how they're going to traverse the world, damn, even the world itself, is all going to be made without a single human mind behind it. At that point, why even develop the game in the first place? That's like me asking ChatGPT to write me a novel. I take their response and I sell it as my own. I know it's not exactly the same as people still have to code the game, but a big part of game design is the visuals itself. You know that Captain America and Black Panther game that's coming out soon? The visuals are so clean, beautiful, and striking, which really amazed me along with a lot of other people. Now imagine if all that was just AI. It would literally take away every amazement that everybody had from those trailers. Hopefully you see why now I believe that Microsoft might have had a say within Activision using AI within Call of Duty. But with all that being said, it looks like we just might be too late because other companies are beginning to join the AI wave. Before you ask, yeah, I'm wearing a new shirt. Yeah, it's a new day. And yeah, I still haven't got a haircut. I'll be recording these videos late at night and I was hella tired, so let me be. Anyways, where were we? Oh yeah, Embark Studios. They recently developed such hit titles like The Finals and Arc Raiders, but they were both later exposed for using AI in their games, as the text-to-speech within both games are from AI. Now before you start going on a rampage that no human voices were utilized within both games, there is a caveat to this. Embark Studios actually decided to pay real voice actors to record voice lines that they could use later on to train an AI. In an article with GameRat, Embark claims to have done this because it allows them to implement new dialogue quickly, creating voice lines in hours instead of scheduling recording sessions and rehiring performers. You may be saying that this is a nice middle ground for a much bigger problem, but I would like to argue that it's an issue for the voice acting field. Many of you might not know this, but video game voice actors don't get paid a lot. According to this graph I found on ZipRecruiter, the average video game voice actor gets paid roughly $40,000 per year. With how the economy is now, that's barely enough to get you through a year. Living expenses, taxes, and personal needs are all going to eat that salary up. This is likely why most voice actors don't only stay with one entertainment medium. Look at Steve Bloom for example. Not only does he play Baraka in Mortal Kombat 1 and Tank Dempsey in every Black Ops game, but he also plays Wolverine in the Wolverine and X-Men animated cartoon and is the English voice actor for Spike Spiegel in the Cowboy Bebop movie. Through taking on so many projects, it's only going to benefit you more for multiple reasons. One, it gives you more money, and two, it gets your name out there by expanding your catalog, thus allowing you to ask for a higher salary when getting gigs due to your popularity within the space. But Jordan, how does this relate to AI being negative within the field? Well, it's because what I mentioned so far only applies to famous voice actors. Steve Bloom has taken on so many roles throughout his career that most people can spot his voice throughout numerous projects. I, for one, is pretty bad at recognizing voices, so I'm not one of those people. But I have friends who could literally recognize the same actor from 3 different games, shows, or movies. That being said, what about those who are trying to make a name for themselves and get into the industry? If we're sticking strictly to the video game business, then a voice actor typically gets paid from either an hourly rate, a per project rate, and or residuals. Now, most video game voice actors don't get paid through bonuses or residuals. If they are, then their contract must be godly or they're a well-known person within the field. So let's not pay attention to that. Instead, we should take a look at the hourly rate and the per project rate. The hourly rate for a newcomer would solely be around $100 to $250 per hour. That's without a union. If they are a part of one, then the rates go up, but let's have a clean slate here. As for their per project rate, they would receive anything from $300 to $10,000. Obviously, the ballpark range typically stays on the lower end. I mean, why would you let some random Joe Schmo play Kratos in the next God of War?
Especially when you can use AI. I thought I told you to get out my house.
The sad part is, Mr. Big COD exec over there isn't wrong. With the introduction of Gen AI and AI voices, companies could literally insert big names within their games. Imagine if you're playing the next huge indie game and you hear Nolan North, but you find out it actually wasn't him. It's going to make the game feel so lifeless. And that lifelessness is something we're going to see in the near future if we keep allowing these companies to pull off this kind of stunt. It's also closing the doors on potential future careers. By not allowing one to do a couple of sessions or getting paid a couple $100 only for a studio to constantly use their voice for an AI, kinda seems like a scam to me. Some of these people are gonna give it their all when it comes to their dream of voice acting, just for their voice to be replicated with an AI, thus causing them to not get compensated as much as they should have. Also, not to mention that an AI cannot replicate the vocal inflections that a person can do. I feel like that's gonna be a thing in the future, and when it does, we're gonna be cooked, I'm not gonna lie. I get the process can cost a lot, and trust me, I looked into it, it can. I also see how it can be long and tiring, but what if I told you that sometimes it isn't? A voice actor by the name Zane Shot, I'm sorry if I butchered your name, would declare that he knocked out entire games worth of sessions within 2 hours. Now, he is more experienced and is probably going to mess up less and not stutter as much, but what this tells me is that he has faith that upcoming voice actors aren't going to take as long as many people think. Look at Moist Critical, for example. He recently played Sonar in Dispatch. He had to say this about his sessions.
I don't fly or anything, so I did it at a local studio in Tampa. The dude was super cool. It was 3 sessions. I think it was like 12 to 13 hours total worth of recording.
3 sessions for a game that's roughly 20 hours long is pretty decent for someone who isn't a voice actor. Bringing this back to Embark, you see how by cutting costs is going to hurt the industry as a whole? I haven't even fully dived into how bigger companies are going to abuse this system yet either. By setting this precedent now, it's only going to hurt future games and shows or movies. Nonetheless, the most ironic thing about all of this is that the games I've mentioned so far both contain narratives talking about how bad AI is for our future. The whole premise of Arc Raiders is humans resiliating against their mechanical replacements. Even with Black Ops 7, the marketing heavily suggested how AI is going to harm our future.
Kind of ironic, because Call of Duty themselves are a perpetrator of the sorts of crimes that I feel like the Guild are against here, because it's Call of Duty pushing AI slop in front of us and taking away from what actual artists could be doing.
It's pretty evident that these businesses who create the games that we love don't want to stand by the narratives they're trying to portray, which kind of takes you out of the immersion of the world that they're trying to build. And to me, and probably to some of you, falling in love with the world behind these narratives is something we can enjoy with every form of entertainment. It's great to feel invested in the fictional atmosphere as it takes you away from all the hardships you might be facing in the real world. Some people need that, but if you're not going to fully commit on spreading the message that you want to tell the world, it's only going to destroy the realm that you just created. Which leaves the question, is there even a proper way of utilizing AI within video game development? This past month, we had the Game Awards, and the Game of the Year winner was Expedition 33. Although I personally never played this game, I have heard of it and know that it was created by indie developers. I also heard that the story behind how this game was developed is pretty inspiring, and the fact that they got to achieve this type of award is honestly remarkable. However, since it was considered an indie game, it was also a part of the Indie Game Awards, in which they actually won 2 awards for Best Debut Game and Indie Game of the Year. Everything seemed to look bright for the studio Sandfall Interactive, as this game just couldn't stop winning. Unfortunately though, this is when stuff started to go downhill. See, the Indie Game Awards are highly against AI and asked all the participating indie developers if they used any AI within their games. Sandfall did say no to this, however, an interview with the producer of the game did declare otherwise surfaced online. This evidently sparked up controversy and caused them to have both of the awards that they won at the Indie Game Awards to be revoked. Which kinda sucks when knowing that later on, they confirmed that they only wanted to try out the new tool. Sandfall Interactive further clarifies that there are no generative AI created assets in the game. When the first AI tools became available in 2022, some members of the team briefly experimented with them to generate temporary placeholder textures. Upon release, instances of a placeholder texture were removed within 5 days to be replaced with the correct textures that had always been intended for release. Now, if we take into account that the following statement is true, then did they really deserve both of their awards to be revoked? Honestly, in my opinion, no. And there's 2 main reasons why. Firstly, artificial intelligence is supposed to aid us in certain tasks, making our lives easier. The problem with it isn't the technology itself, rather it's our over-reliance on it. For example, Black Ops 7. I know I mentioned it already in this video, but it's just the best example for what I'm trying to say. It's clear that pretty much every calling card was made with AI, causing the game itself to feel soulless and artificial. No pun intended. Alongside this, its $70 price tag only makes consumers stray away from the game, as anyone can make these pieces of art with the click of a button. With that being said, I do believe that there is a world where you could use AI in a non-excessive manner and definitely not sell it as your own work. Seriously, how does anyone get away with that? What I mean by this is that you could use AI in the pre-production phase to see how certain things would work. Take Pusha T from the rapper duo Clips, for example. In a recent interview, the two were asked on how they feel about AI in music. Pusha responded by openly admitting that he uses AI to see how certain features would work on tracks. This to me is perfectly fine as long as the person that he wants featured on the song makes his own verse with his own creative mind. And isn't that what Sandfall basically did? They saw AI as an opportunity to create what they are aiming to create, but just in a pre-production phase. Now, I understand there might be concerns to this, as there isn't a way to fully confirm if someone would actually commit to doing that. But this is where I feel like regulations should be established for stuff like this. There should be a law or company maybe that aims to check to see if a game or song is fully human made. Think of it as one of those captcha bot checkers. Once confirmed, then you would be able to put it out to the public and sell your product. This will prevent consumers from purchasing AI slop. This would be perfect for the gaming industry. Imagine there was like this AI stamp of approval on every box for a video game. It would make it a lot clearer to understand what and what isn't made with AI.
Don't do it to me. I beg you. No.
Obviously, there might be some loopholes to this whole idea, but hey, I'm just some guy in a room who loves making videos, playing video games, and watching movies. I'm not the right person to develop such rules. Hopefully one of you out there is. This is just something that I believe we should be aiming to push for, as AI is only going to get more powerful. Secondly, Sandfall was just toying around with AI back in 2022. When AI first hit the scene and we all became aware of it, you're telling me that none of you wanted to mess with it? None of us took it seriously and we all thought it was going to die out in a couple of months. Hey, I even messed around with AI when it first came out. Honestly, now I'm realizing we should have paid more attention to those Terminator movies. Of course, indie developers are going to try to see how AI can be beneficial to the development process of their game. Instead of punishing Sandfall for this, I think we should be more grateful that they weren't willing to just blatantly lie to us and tell us the truth. We should be even more grateful that they didn't even want to sell the game if it had AI in it. So to me, personally, the justification of their awards being revoked is completely invalid. Which leaves one final question. How should the gaming industry handle AI? To put it simply, fight for an AI disclosure system. I touched upon it in the previous section, but everyone going, "Oh, it's AI slop, terrible game," isn't gonna do anything. We can stop supporting studios who make our favorite films or games all we want, but at the end of the day, they're still gonna use AI. Which is depressing, because all the water that's about to be wasted due to these companies trying to cut costs is actually insane. And assuming that all the environmental problems that come with AI gets resolved in the near future, then an AI disclosure system will be a step in the right direction. And yes, I got a haircut. Hope you like it. To me, Steam is the perfect example of what I mean. They've recently started putting an AI disclosure tab for games that include AI. It's exactly what we should be fighting for. The fact that in the modern day that there's no awareness to if a game has AI or not is honestly insane. There should be a rule that forces these companies to tell their consumers that their game has AI in it. Therefore, it's up to the consumer to decide if they should purchase the game or not. This provides more control towards the consumer rather than the corporation. All of this mainly applies to a future where AI is more powerful. For now, keep on complaining about AI being in creative fields. We're seeing more and more game studios declaring that they're not going to utilize the tool, which is great because we're finally going to lean back into human creativity. Don't know why we stopped to begin with, but as for the cynical future, hopefully there will be enough people to acknowledge the AI disclosure system, because if enough companies notice that their decline in sales is happening because of their over excessive use of AI, then they're gonna stop using it. After all, if those bank accounts are dead, a huge mob of CEOs are gonna be coming after us.
You coming? How dare they try to steal money from us? I'm about to rob some stores right now because of that.
Now, I still believe that there is a future where AI could be used in game development. For example, if an artist trains an AI through their own work and they use it for the pre-production phase of a game to create placeholder textures, then to me, that seems ethically right.
Basically, it's what Sandfall did, as long as they're not actually going to sell a game with AI in it. But
for those of you who will still say, no, you're wrong, AI in game equal terrible game, then dude, have you ever played a video game in your life? Artificial intelligence in gaming has been around since the dawn of time. Who do you think was controlling that bot you were 1v1ing on Nuketown back in 2012? In fact, the use of AI in games can track all the way back to 1959, where an electrical engineer named Arthur Samuels developed the first known use of artificial intelligence for gaming with his checkers program. See, he discovered some code through some super science stuff that I don't understand. He could teach a computer basic decision making, allowing it to fully play out a game of checkers like a human would, which means that it would play out future moves in its head in order to choose the right path for the win. So Sam would constantly play checkers against this computer in order for his decision making to grow. And yes, that's how computers looked like back then. Talking about having a good PC case, you're gonna need a whole room for one of these. The only thing that's bigger than this is your mom.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But seriously, this shows how the idea of AI being a part of games has been around for almost 100 years. Granted, I know it's for a board game, but it set the precedent for future companies to use AI within their own games. Which is why not much later from 1956, we saw a prominent use of AI in the 80s through arcade games. Such games like Pac-Man, Galaga, and Donkey Kong all used AI models for enemies that the player could go against. Clearly, AI has been around in video games since forever, practically. So if we're gonna start boycotting AI in gaming, we might as well boycott gaming itself. The gaming industry is only going to get worse and worse from here, as AAA studios aim to utilize Gen AI within their games and have us consumers pay a hefty price for some mediocre title. So instead of us complaining that studios are lazy and revoking awards from big games, what we really need to be doing is fighting for better regulation. And once we do, we finally don't have to play that game where Kai Cenat links up with Eleven to fight off the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles while they're riding on top of Godzilla, whilst Headshot by IShowSpeed plays in the background. Wait, that might actually be a hit. But with that, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I heard if you do, the big COD exec in your room won't force you to buy an AI calling card. So you better hit that button. Be sure to follow my Twitter and Instagram link down below. I know this video is different from my other ones. I wanted to start off the year with a bang, and this is a topic that has interested me for quite some time now. Let me know if you enjoyed this style of content down below. But with that being said, I'll catch you guys in the next video. See ya.